Hello, welcome to another video on my channel, and today we're in Dark Souls, but actually first off let me apologize for not uploading for a good long while. Uh, the thing was is I didn't find anything interesting enough to upload, or anything I figured would be interesting enough to upload in terms of unedited footage, but now I've got something that's a little bit interesting. Today I'm gonna be talking about my very first character in Dark Souls. Yes, this is not my well, it isn't my very first character. I've tried to build multiple characters in Dark Souls, but this is essentially the first character ever I've completed that I've used to complete a Dark Souls game. I currently got I think one playthrough going on in Dark Souls 1. I haven't done anything in Dark Souls 2 yet. And Dark Souls 3, I kind of have two other playthroughs that I'm going to be trying to take as seriously as possible, or at least as serious as I did this playthrough. But in any case though, I'm going to go over this character build and some of the weapons I use and stuff like that. As of currently, I've yet to go ahead and fight the Soul of Cinder, but I just got done fighting Slave Knight Gael, and I have to say, it wasn't that hard actually for my first time fighting him. To be honest actually, it was quite easy, and what you see me wearing and using right now, yes I did use a shield, but I actually decided to put that away when fighting him and used my crossbow. I basically was back and forth between using my crossbow and the Farron Greatsword. And it actually was fairly easy. I think I only died once to him, and I think the first time I died to him, he was in second phase, and I was kind of just basically getting used to his attack patterns and learning his combos and stuff like that. But either way though, let me go ahead and delve into this character build. This character build overall is not exactly a quality build. I basically just leveled up my strength enough so that I can use this shield right here. I forgot the name of the shield was. The Curse Warded Great Shield. I even started upgrading it a little bit to try and get some more stability on it, because not only does upgrading it give you increase your damage with it, which to be honest is kind of useless on a shield unless you're using a specific kind of shield. Let me dig it out real quick to give y'all a reference. Shields. These shields are probably only exceptions right here. The giant door shield. That's probably the only one you would want to increase damage on, because it's supposed to basically be a shield that it's supposed to be a shield you're meant to pair. It's a paired great shield. Yeah. I'm not going to shit on it. I'm just going to say, if you're running that, you're an absolute mad lad, and I love you for it. That said, though, if I'm fighting up against you, that's when things might get a little salty. But as you can see here, my setup here is Farron Greatsword as my main weapon. It wasn't always my main weapon. I think in the beginning I tried to use. And in the beginning, I was using either Straight Sword or the Claymore. I think I was using the Claymore. But as soon as I had the chance to, I swapped over to the Astora Greatsword. You can see it has a sharp gem on it. I think that's the gem you want to put onto the Astora Greatsword if you plan on using it. Because you can see, you can look down there and you see it has an S scaling and dexterity. What the hell am I saying? It has an S scaling and dexterity, and as a result, I just assumed that gives it an amazing amount of scaling. Only thing I can see people complain about here out of the weapons I've used is the sharp great sword, but that's only because my dexterity is leveled higher than my strength in this build, and it's because the Farron Greatsword, even though it's an Ultra Greatsword, it's still more of a dex weapon than a strength weapon, so. But the only reason why I used this was because this is the only greatsword I could actually hold on to and use properly at the time in order to go and farm souls. The place where I was farming souls at was on a NPC spawn inside of a specific area. Inside the Dragonkin Mausoleum, there's an ad there that spawns NPCs, and if you place yourself in the right position, you can farm souls there. But you do have to be very attentive. You have to be playing the game, and it's essentially doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's not just sit there, go AFK for a little bit, and you gain souls. There is a method you can do that, but at a much lower yield. Is this it? Yeah, it's one of these bonfires. I think it's this one. Yeah, the Farron Key Perimeter Bonfire. If you go here and you stand in the right position, the dark raves that are running up through there will kill some ads through there, and you'll actually gain the souls if I remember correctly. So that's an AFK spot, but bear in mind that's extremely low yield soul gain. Plus, you also want to have items such as the Silver Serpent Ring and the Shield of Want, which increases your soul gain. But in any case, though, after I also managed. Actually, no, I think that's what I ended up doing. Is I ended up using the Claymore for a good little while. Then I picked up the Hollow Slayer's Greatsword and then swapped to the Sharp Restorer Greatsword here, and then decided to use the Black Knight Sword while I was down in the Smoldering Lake. But but that was because I think at the time I didn't quite have the stats to use the Fire and Greatsword or to upgrade it enough in order to do more damage than per se the Black Knight Sword. But in any case, the point was this was meant to be a build centered around using the Fire and Greatsword, and also pairing it with crossbows. I'm actually using Avalon. I did upon turning in Slave Knight Gael's soul to Ludlif up there, Ludlif, I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. I had to listen to someone pronounce it a couple of times to actually get it down pat. Point is I picked up his repeating crossbow, hoping that I could hold it in my offhand like Gael did and fire multiple arrows. Turns out it doesn't do that. You need to have it in your main hand, as far as I could tell when I was testing it and playing around with it. Couldn't get it to work, so I just decided, you know what? I'm going to stick with Avalon because that gets my multi-fire going on with my crossbow, because that's kind of what I wanted to go on with this build. Some of y'all probably could call this a guts build in that case, but it's more supposed to be an Abyss Watcher style build. This character, after all, is called the Last Watcher. He has his own lore and stuff like that, but considering I don't really have the ability to edit down my videos, I'd rather not talk about it because it could talk about the lore I came up for my character here, because this video could drag on way too long at that point. But in any case, though, continuing with the whole thing about what weapons I use and stuff like that, I also picked up the simple Kaistis, I think it's how you're supposed to pronounce it, because this is my favorite parrying weapon in the game. Now, the Fire and Greatsword does have a parry, and eventually I just decided to start relying on the Fire and Greatsword's parry. And it actually did do me some wonders, but in any case, I also moved on. I also tried to implement great bows into my build. Hence why you see I have the Dragon Slayer Great Arrows and Lightning Arrows equipped. So yeah, there's all that. And also, for just in case at any point in time I wanted to start leveling my character to basically, I basically kept a couple of magical items on me in order for just in case I wanted to implement some magic into my build. So yeah, there's that. And I also wanted to keep the Sharp Lothric Sword on me for just in case, for whatever reason, I was having an extraordinary amount of difficulty trying to beat something with the Fire and Greatsword. And of course I was eventually hoping to replace the Lothric Straight Sword, because this is the most OP weapon in the game if I'm remembering correctly, with the Crow Quills here, because they look a lot cooler, they're a lot more stylish, and plus they're not quite as broken, but still pretty dang good. Okay, so getting into my armor, my armor actually evolved quite a bit from earlier stages. I believe I chose to start off as a knight class, so there's that. But originally, I basically wore the knight's armor for as long as possible. Then I swapped over to the Fallen Knight set, and then whenever I got the chance, I bought bits and pieces of the Undead Legion armor. So basically, saying my early game armor was my knight armor, and what I considered to be my mid game armor was essentially what you're fixing to see right here. This was essentially my mid-game armor set, which I think looks fairly nice. It's not absolutely perfect, but hey, it still looks fairly nice. But as for late game armor, I decided to pick up the Wolf Knight's helm, the Ferrum armor, and I was using the Wolf Knight's legs, but as you can see, that looks, in my opinion, a little bit weird. So I decided to pick up something that looked a little bit girthier, or had a little more girth to it. I decided to pick the Alva leggings. I do not remember where in the hell I got where in the hell I got these legs from. It may have been from one of the DLCs. I'm not certain. I'm not entirely certain, but in my opinion, it looks a lot nicer than the Wolf Knight legs. But in any case, let's look at my stats for my character. I'm of course obviously in the Watchdogs of Farron. I've only done I think a little bit PvP with this character, and it was only because I forgot to put the character onto offline mode, and it was whenever I was trying to. It was like right before I went into Farron Swamp. I was fixing to go into Farron Swamp for the first time, and then I got invaded, and I'd say it was a decent PvP fight. There was no Estus drinking, about as fair as you could get. About as fair about as fair and as good as a straightforward fights you're probably going to get in probably some of your fights and some of your PvP invasions inside of Dark Souls 3 in my opinion, or at least from what I've seen when watching Dark Souls PvP videos on YouTube. Some of them do get really crazy. I am at soul level 148. I wasn't really aiming for a meta. I was just kind of playing through the PvE environment. Looking through the souls and required souls don't really matter much. Vigor's ending off on 38, 2-minute 10, endurance of 40, vitality of 40. That's why I'm able to keep equipped so many items. Strength of 34, pretty much like as I said, just only enough strength to use the curse warded great shield, because being able to use that weapon art, basically just doing this, being able to just do that is really good. It's actually helped me out quite a few times. But enough of that. I'd rather not be caught using a shield necessarily any further, because I realize there are some people who feel kind of salty when they see a player wielding a shield, because they think, oh, all you do is turtle behind it all damn day. For me, I try not to do that. Maybe PvE stuff, going up against ads, I'll feel free to turtle behind a shield if I can. PvP stuff, though, I'm going to try to set myself up to either two-hand my weapon or do like I have here and just have my crossbow. That's just to try and get the person I'm going up against as good of a fight as possible without cheesing too much. Preferably without cheesing at all, actually, in any shape, form, or fashion. Dexterity of 40, because this is more of a dex build, and of course intellect, faith, and luck not even really touched, because I didn't really care about them. To me, they didn't really matter much into the build. HP is at 1,634, FP 93. I am going to take this character to New Game Plus, and the idea of this is, the reason why I'm going to New Game Plus is I want to get the Wolf Knight Greatsword and Gael's Greatsword, so I can actually start putting that FP to some use. And after I get Vigor up to level 40, I do intend on leveling my attunement in order to get my FP up, so I can actually use the Wolf Knight Greatsword and Gael's Greatsword, just because they're cool weapons. But in any case, though, stamina 194, equip load 97.2. I'm currently using 67 of that. A poise of 26.28. Item discovery 107. I don't think very many people care about the item discovery. You can look down there to my attack power to see how my right-handed attack, how powerful my right-handed attacks are. You can look up there to some of my defenses and stuff like that, resistance, absorption. In my opinion, none of it's probably that impressive all whatsoever. You've already seen my playtime on this. I have over 2 days worth of playtime on this character, and believe it or not, I've actually been slowly playing this game. I probably have taken about a year to beat the game thus far, because I haven't really been sitting down and playing it every single day. So I've just basically popped on as I feel like it, because I want to enjoy Dark Souls. I don't want to end up going, grrr, I hate the fact that I just died 10 billion times over and over and over again. Oh, this game's impossible. Oh, I fucking hate it. No. Dark Souls is not that kind of game. It's a good game, and it's just that it's a really good game, and it really requires the player to be really attentive to detail in order to truly enjoy what makes Dark Souls good. Those people who die like billions of times at the beginning of the game or say it's too hard, it's those people don't really. I think those are the people who don't really truly understand that it's not necessarily just about the skill of the player. It's about how well you can pay attention to the details in the game. Gael, the only reason why Gael was so easy is because I managed to pretty much space myself perfectly, and I'm able, of course, obviously I actually have an ability to just basically eyeball the attacks and be able to just spam my iframes in order to dodge it. Like I think I managed to iframe every one of his attacks right off the bat. His second phase was a little more troublesome because it felt like no matter how much space I put between me and him, he was able to at least hit me from like maybe anywhere from like maybe a foot or two further than what I actually expected him to be able to hit from. Plus, his greatsword when in PV when using whenever you yourself is using Gael's greatsword, it actually hits from a fairly far distance compared to some other greatswords. Not as far as something like the Farron greatsword probably would hit from, but it has basically Gael's greatsword has a very deceptive hitbox to it, meaning meaning it really can reach out pretty far, but at the same time, basically, if you're doing PvP against another player, do not underestimate the distance at which Gael's greatsword can reach you in terms of blade length. In Gael's PvE fight, where you're fighting the boss, whenever you're fighting Gael as a boss, it felt like his blade was actually shorter than what I expected. So as a result, I was able to space myself in just the right way in order to actually reach him with my blade, but he couldn't reach me with his. So I found it quite fun, in fact, actually. I really enjoyed his fight. It was amazing. It was exhilarating, actually. The dude was amazing, and let's see here. The only thing really I'm disappointed in is the fact that you can't use the full movesets of the Abyss Watchers using their greatsword. Like, you have you have that, which is still pretty cool, and you can go into that you can basically press your L1 button. You basically can do this. There's multiple different combinations you can use. I think my favorite combination, by the way, which is basically this, and then that. That's my favorite combination in terms of sheer hitting power. Because if you're fighting an NPC, you get up on them, stagger, they get the chance to roll catch. There you go. That's not to say the Farron Greatsword is the most OP weapon in the game. It's far from it. Like I said, Lothar Greatsword is the most OP weapon in the game as far as I can understand. But in any case, though, I'm trying to think. Rings. Let's go over rings. I have multiple rings that I've been carrying on me. Yes, multiple. Let's see here. I've kept on the life ring because then I'll talk about these rings because I've never taken off either of these rings. Chloranthy ring, obviously, get that increased stamina recovery. Without it, try to use up a decent portion of my stamina. That's how fast your stamina regenerates. With it, you just use up some more stamina. That's a fairly fast recovery speed. In fact, if it wasn't for Chloranthy Ring plus 3, I probably would have had a harder time with Gael. Because from what I could see, it was basically roll, poke, maybe roll, get a chance to get in a couple of hits. Actually, with this great sword, you only have a chance to maybe get him one hit on him, and then you need to start dodging again. How does this work? I'm still trying to play around with this and figure out exactly what's really good at these moves. That's because I never find myself using the back step in the game. Because I never consciously think about it because I can just roll back and then just wait for a better opportunity to get in even more damage. I do understand the importance of being able to backstep and perhaps even go into something like that. Or perhaps to go backstep to go to a heavy attack if someone's is fully intent on rolling forwards towards you in an aggressive fashion. But in any case though, Ring of Favor, obviously everyone knows, anyone who's played a Dark Souls game should know why Ring of Favor is why I have Ring of Favor equipped. Really, really good. And plus, I'm probably fixing to make a fool of myself. Now, it's basically not the Ring of Favor from Dark Souls 1. Ring of Favor in Dark Souls 1, you de-equip that, you disequip that, and it breaks. Here in Dark Souls 3, you can de-equip it, disequip it, English. you can disequip it, de-equip it, yes, de-equip it, and it won't break. Plus I got the ring, plus it's the +3 variant, so really good. Hornet Ring for PvE stuff, or whenever I'm fighting up against bosses that can be parried or just riposted, if you will. I think the alternate rings I would use here would basically be something like one of the resistance rings that you see here. Same thing for these rings as well. Aside from that, maybe something like the Hunter's Ring. So here, Night Slayer Ring wouldn't be too bad for PvP using this sword, I think is what I should have said. Lloyd's Sword Ring could be okay as well. Pontiff's right eye ring may not be too bad either, because this has multiple hits in it whenever you go to use it. So if you're able to land, if you know for saying you can land 2 of these in a row, Pontiff's right eye ring may be good for damage bonuses. But yeah, basically every ring you see here is a ring I kept on me because I figured, hey, there may be some point in time where these are actually coming handy. And believe me, there was a time. Let's see here. For Dark Intermediate, probably one of the hardest boss fights in the game I've had, most certainly. Dark Stone Plate Ring, I think I had that equipped along with the Ring of Steel Protection in order to increase physical damage absorption. Basically trying to max out my damage resistance as best I could against them, because in my opinion, if I basically take a hit from them and that doesn't take off, and that takes off more than maybe what's a good fraction? If he hits me and that takes off more than maybe 1/5 of my HP, I personally think not. I can only think that at that point I'm pretty much screwed. If he takes 1/5 of my HP, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm probably screwed, because that doesn't give me very much breathing room. Especially if I'm using a big, heavy sword such as this that swings fairly slowly to begin with. Because if you're using a weapon like this, you're probably going to trade a bunch of times. In any case, though, but like, getting back on topic actually with the Fair and Great Sword, the only thing I'm disappointed with it is that there are a few attacks that you can't do. Like, for example, the Fair and Great Sword, when the Abyss Watchers use it, they're able to use this dagger right here from to basically hit you multiple times with it. Like, they basically can hit you with nothing but this dagger. But the best you can do with hitting someone with a dagger is that right there, or landing on him with a dagger right here, because that does do damage. I'm debating whether I should do this on the Firekeeper or not, but probably a bad idea. I also probably should give a full tour of my shrine here as well, to kind of show that, hey, I am in the end game by this point. As you can see, I also have the ashes up there for pretty much every one of the other major bosses, and of course I have cinders I have Lothric cinders. Let's start over here. Actually, no, starting over here, because that character's a bit later in the game. I feel like this is a better place to start because we can do a full loop pretty much. My character, despite this scene that you're seeing here, isn't hollow. See, not hollow. YouTube, please don't freak out over that. I don't think they will, though. If they do, I think that's kind of stupid, but whatever. But in any case, though, despite that right there, you see my character's not hollow. I basically took the level ups from him. The ending I wanted to go for this playthrough was just go ahead and link in the fire, because I already know that I already know how to do some of the other endings. I wanted to look into that for whenever I was planning out my character build, so I can figure out, hey, I want to do every ending there is in Dark Souls. So I figured out, okay, so I'll do this ending for this playthrough, and then the rest of the playthroughs I would do would basically be depending on how many endings there are. So I figured out, hey, there are this number of endings. That's how many legit playthroughs or serious playthroughs I was going to do. But in any case, though, coming over here, we still have Grey Rat here. I probably should send him off for the final bit of his mission so I can end his story, since I'm fixing to beat the game, essentially saying.
Oh, and in one.
So, as you can see, I have a lot of his stuff unlocked. So, yeah, I'm pretty much have all of his stuff unlocked. We have Miss Mage over here, or Miss Black Mage, I guess you could say. With her sorceries, or sorceries and pyromancies. Excuse me. May use this is probably something I'm going to end up using in another playthrough. In fact, actually, one of my playthroughs for one of my characters, it's actually going to be really weird to do that character build because he's going to need a lot of vitality. He's going to need a lot of vitality. He's going to need a lot of attunement. He's going to need he's going to need stats in order to use these use something like the Black Flame spell and Black Fire Orb. He's going to be using the Ring City Ring City Knight paired great swords, whatever they were called. He's just supposed to. He's going to end up having to use those weapons. So he's going to need a lot of points and a lot of different stats. But I guess so. Point being is, I got that character sorted out.
Safe.
Andre up here.
Just wasn't.
I didn't use any less Estus there. Can't reinforce my Estus flask any further. Not really many other weapons I want to infuse any higher. I probably should go ahead and do, since I'm not going to use that, I'm just going to go ahead and max that out right now. If I go into New Game Plus, I think I should get at least a few more Titanite slabs.
Pretty be careful.
Pretty be careful. I love that line. Pretty be careful. Actually, that's a better way of saying it. Pretty be careful.
How?
As you can see here, I haven't bought all the embers off her actually, and I don't plan on doing so because I don't see no use in it because I try not to. Ooh, poison throwing knives. I should have thought about that because you can poison certain bosses. In fact, actually, that could have came in handy against Gael because actually I didn't talk about my equip items either. In any case, as you can see here, I got the ability to buy Titanite from her. Actually, I got the ability to buy Titanite skills off her. There's something I had that required Titanite skills. I probably should go farm some more souls and level up whatever that item was. Henri's armor. I didn't buy all the armor because some of it I didn't really care about it because I wasn't planning on using it. Some armor that some of y'all may be interested in, some of you OG Dark players, obviously Smo sets. Some of you guys out there who actually like Dark Souls 2, because from what I understand, a lot of people in the Dark Souls community don't actually like Dark Souls 2. They disregard it as not being a good Dark Souls game, or at least at the bare minimum, call it the worst Dark Souls game out of the trilogy. So, but that said, I think the Farum armor still looks really, really good, and I imagine a lot of you people out there who like Dark Souls 2 or hardcore Dark Souls 2 fans. Sorry if you heard a little ding. My phone went and had a notification go off on it. Don't know what it is and don't really care at the second. But in any case, though, you got all these other armors here and stuff like that. But I couldn't really think of any other armor I wanted to pick up here. Lloyd's shield ring, I don't really care about that. That's probably a little more handy than Lloyd's sword ring, depending on how you look at it, though. Wood grain ring is kind of not as useful here in Dark Souls 3. But in any case, though,
Ashen one.
well, it's not as useful as far as I understand. Oh yeah, I killed this guy. Or no, actually no, I didn't kill him because I never brought him here. Pyromancer dude.
Ah, there you are. I am pleased.
Should have all the pyromancies I could possibly learn from him. I don't have my pyromancy flame on me.
Not be gone for long.
And she's still over here. Actually, I don't think I completed her quest, actually.
Oh, champion, do you wish to hear a tale? You know, in my home of Kari, I would be pleased to share, although to be honest, but if I had a divine tome, terribly sorry. Have a pleasant journey, champion of Ash. I pray for your safety.
I guess I forgot a tome. So this is probably not a 100% complete playthrough here, with the exception of course, Lord of Cinder. Well, crap, where the hell could that be? I need to wrap up the video here really soon. I don't want it to drag on. I didn't want to drag it on too long. I was thinking 10 minutes probably would have been good, but I had the bad tendency to rant, hence why I desperately need the ability to edit my videos before trying to do anything too serious on this on my YouTube channel, or to do anything too tremendously serious. Why am I going through my box? I'm supposed to be looking through here. Where could that possibly be? What areas could I have skipped? I think I explored that area thoroughly. It had to be something I look up because I'm pretty sure the majority of all the areas I did explore fairly thoroughly. The only places I could logically think that I didn't explore all that thoroughly was not there, and it's not this place. I think it may be in Anne Orlando. That to me that kind of makes a little bit of sense. At least to a certain degree it does. I don't think it would be in Irithyll. I wish that place had that looked like that, because that right there to me looks like one of those Roman great baths, like back from what was it, like during the era of the Roman Empire. Like that's what that looks like to me. One of those great baths. I love the look of that. I think that looks really cool. That, in fact, actually, thinking about that, because I do occasionally go back and play Minecraft. I can't. Actually, I'm currently playing Fallout 4 actually as well. I could build if I install the right mod. I could build a bath that looks like that in one of my settlements. But yeah, at this point, I'm not talking about my character anymore. So with that said, this is essentially my Abyss Watcher's build. I guess you could say, or last Abyss Watcher. My pretty much my ending equip items is of course going to be Estus Flag, Ember, and of course any type of throwing knife. I'm just going with a Church Guardian Shiv because it's infinite as long as you have FP. Other equip items I use are of course obviously going to be stuff such as not really a Divine Blessings. I'll talk about where they're equipped actually because I do have them equipped. Like I said, other throwing knives, other throwing items. If I do choose to swap and use anything other than the Farron Greatsword, I do equip Pine Resins as well, depending on whether I can use them with my whatever weapon I swap to. I did want to use this, but that can only be used in a specific area, in a specific situation. So, yeah. Okay, I guess I figured I found a new function in the game that I didn't know about previously. Either way, though, my other equip items as you see there, I keep repair powder here, my red eye orb if I ever want to do invasions, divine blessing here for a little bit of extra healing if I need it, cold sword fragment for, of course, obviously for basically act as my bone replacement, binoculars if I want to get close up view on something. Again, though, getting to the proper quick rundown, Farron Greatsword is supposed to be my main weapon. I use the Curse Water Great Shield for times where I feel like, hey, I don't want to actually rush into the fight head first. I want to be able to I'm willing to take things slowly and play passively. Avalon for whenever I'm ready to actually truly play aggressively. I use heavy bolts. I also utilize great bows with this build. Let's see here. This is my armor right here. The rings I use I use casually, basically saying. The rings I plan on using, by the way, for my fight against Soul of Cinder, at least I'm going to start out trying to use, is probably going to be this, because I don't think you can riposte Soul of Cinder, so I don't think there's any reason for me to use Hornet Ring, or the chances of me riposting them is actually going to be fairly low. So I don't think Hornet Ring is going to be all that. I don't think it's going to be reasonable to use Hornet Ring. Soul of Cinder is supposed to do fire damage if I remember correctly, or from what I hear. So I'm probably going to. So that's why I'm going to have this equipped. And Ring of Steel Protection is just going to be there because why not? If not, I may continue to keep this on and just swap over to the Estus Ring in order to get more healing on my Estus Flask. Don't know why I kept the Calamity Ring on. Maybe it's just because I'm feeling a little suicidal on some occasions in this game. You know, things can't... It's like for those situations where you think things can't get any worse, just put on the Calamity Ring. You'll see. If you think things are already as bad as they get, just put on the Calamity Ring. There you go. You're an absolute mad lad if you want that on. In fact, actually, I would think it would be pretty cool to see someone do a 100% completion playthrough of Dark Souls 1, a 100% completion speed run of Dark Souls 3 using the Calamity Ring. I think that would be pretty cool. Granted, I think that's showing off. Plus, I'm rambling on to my chair again. Here's my stats to leave off on. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope my build was somewhat interesting, being an Abyss Watcher styled build. And I'll catch you guys whenever I find something interesting to make a video on. Hope to see you guys some other time. Bye.